everyone. Welcome to the Leasing Highway. This is a podcast that's all about the multifamily industry and have a great guest today. I'm Ian.
And I'm Karen. And our guest today is a very special guest and someone very personal to myself and Ian, April Andrews. April is Ian's wife, and she's the VP of Power Apartment Leasing and Marketing. And because I know she won't say it, April was also honored with Denver's 40 Under 40 last year because of all that she does, not only professionally, but personally. And April, we turn it over to you. We're so honored to have you here. Could you share a little bit about your story?
How nice. Thank you for that introduction. Yes, the only way that I ended up being able to be here today was because I'm Ian's wife. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just teasing. So my story, I have been with Power Apartment Leasing and Marketing for 12 years now. And I got into the industry because I met Karen at the Rio Grande Mexican restaurant 2 years before I ended up getting into the industry. And when we met, she said, "What are you doing? What is your plan?" And I said, "Oh, I just, graduated college and I'm going to travel around the world with my best friend, Brittany, for 7 months, 6 to 7 months." And she said, "Oh, well, call me when you get back." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm going to be gone. This is going to be a couple years." She said, "Call me." So I kept her business card, Karen's business card. It was like the one thing I kept out of storage with a business card from Bobby Brown Cosmetics. I had waited on, I working in the service industry. I had met one of the executives for the cosmetic line, and she said, "Call me." So I saved both cards. I'm so grateful that I ended up keeping Karen's card, because when I called 2 years later, she ended up letting me know, or she said, "Yes, I remember you.
You're unforgettable."
That's very nice. So I got into the industry, and I've been lucky enough over the last 12 years to partner with different teams all around the country. Our company is nationwide, and we get hired on by management companies, ownership groups, sometimes both at the same time, to where we're able to help tag team the front lines with their leasing teams. And really, we really are, we integrate as a team member, and it's very collaborative, and we're very lucky with what we get to do. And our power team is phenomenal. And I'm so lucky to work with so many, it's going to make me emotional, so many amazing individuals, and our clients too, because our company wouldn't exist if it wasn't for our team members, because they, make the magic happen with our clients. And then our clients were always so grateful and honored to get the opportunity to be invited on an asset to help. So that's a little bit about me. I've lived in Denver for 22 years now, but I was born in New Mexico. I love green chili, travel, and I love what we get to do. I mean, it's amazing. I feel blessed every day that I actually love my job. I saw in the news yesterday, they said, "Are you a workaholic? Do you work on the weekends? Do you answer emails after hours?" And it's so funny because I was telling Kelsey, yes to these things, but I actually love what I do. It doesn't feel like, I actually get excited when I get an email. So, or a phone call.
That's awesome. That's a good story.
Awesome. Well, April, I think one of the questions here that I wanted to ask you, just so that everyone else can see what we talk about all the time, is you have so much experience around the country with just everything from Class C to Class A deals to lease ups to stabilized properties, and you just so much experience with what goes on. I don't think anyone out there is as connected to the front lines across the country as you are. And so I'm curious, what are maybe the top 3 things that you tell every property to ensure they are doing, no matter what stage or class that property's in?
Gosh, there are so many. As you know, we wear so many hats in this industry. I think number one, and we talk about it every single time we tour a community, we see a community being built, renovated, not even apartment communities, but like all businesses. And I feel like it always gets missed. It's signage. Number one, like, how do you know what you are? So I think whether you're a new construction or, before you even break ground and that fence goes up, put a banner, up that says, now leasing, an apartment community, letting everyone know in the community know what is to come, because it is so exciting. And then have like a landing page where you can have an interest list that early on. If it's a community that's been established, signage. I feel like, again, you see these communities that have been there for, in existence for 20, 30 years, even 5, 30, 40, 50 years, however long it's been in existence, but there's not any signage. So then people forget about you and they don't realize what you are. Are these privately owned condos? Are these rentals? Do they have availability? Because a lot of times, prospects think, our guests that tour a community think, oh, they don't have any availability because they've been here for so long. So this isn't even an option. So I think whether you're a brand new lease up, new construction, or if you're an established community, or even if you do have signage, rotate the signage. So it makes you just helps you to continue to stay relevant. We always recommend to our clients, rotating the sign package out after 90 days, because living in Colorado, in all over the country, but I'm using Colorado as an example, we have, hail and snow and wind. And we've worked in markets where there's tornadoes and, other natural disasters where the signage ends up not looking that great. So just taking pride in your signage. And I know it's a lot of money, but making sure you have signage, and then making sure you have your logo. If you're now leasing, have the phone number and have the website address on there. Like, how do they get a hold of you? And then test your phone numbers. Right. Because anything could happen, and you could have a sign up and it could be the wrong phone number. You just never know. And so many people say, how that would never happen to me. Well, it's happened more than I could share with you. So signage, you can tell we're passionate about that. Karen's a guru with the signage. Secondly, I would say control the controllables. I think we can control if a community is clean, right? So I'll never forget, I worked at a community and my regional had shared her story, and she said, I started off as a housekeeper in the industry. And when she would clean the homes, after she cleaned the home, she would look at the home at the front door and say, would I be happy living here? Is this something I would be proud of? And her name is Carmen. I worked with her years ago, and that stuck with me. It was one of those things, yeah, you can control cleanliness. And she cared so much about what she did. And now I think she's the president of the company.
Which makes sense, right? That somebody with that passion would. Yes. Yeah.
And it's controlling the controllables. You can't change, the age of your community. You can't change if you're going to be able to add, all of the amenities with the bells and whistles, but you can control if it's clean. So driving the community every morning, making sure that there isn't any debris throughout. And then when you walk in every morning, walk in with a new set of lenses where it's, okay, if I were a guest and you're throwing a party, that's how I look at it. And that's what I share with our team. Pretend you're planning a party every morning. What do? You clean your house, right? You make sure, if you were a guest, what would that experience be like? And it's everything from, your amenities, making sure it's fresh and everything is wiped down, and your models look good. They don't look dusty like they've been sitting there for a while. And and this is what we share with our team. It's human nature to not notice the cobwebs, because you see it every day. So that's why we say, go in with a fresh set of eyes and look at it through different lenses, and really think about it as every person who comes in here is a guest that is coming to your party that day. And then not only having the cleanliness aspect, but making sure that like planning for a party, right? You have refreshments out. You make sure everything's on. There's music. The TVs are on. You're walking your apartments every morning, right? To make sure that everything looks really good. So when you open your doors at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, you're ready for the party. And then not only that, but you want to make sure that when your guests are entering that door, like, how do you treat your friends and family when they come to your door? And I'd say it's funny because I've heard people say, oh, well, let's say, come on in. Well,
grab a beer.
I would say really just making sure that I waited tables after college, and I worked for this company that the owner said, treat everyone who walks in the door like a star, like a movie star. And that stuck with me. It's like when someone comes in, whether it's a vendor partner, the mail person, a guest that is touring your community, your teammate, like treat them like they're a movie star, your favorite movie star. Hi, how are you? Get up, like walk to the door. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. What can I do to help take care of you? Don't, sit there and like, hey, how's it going? Like it's that excitement. And I think that's really important. Controlling the controllables.
And then I'm going to say, April, too, I love your analogy of being a guest at a party. I think that's probably one of my favorite analogies. I know you have lots, but that one is probably one of my favorites. And you were the first person I ever heard say that too.
Oh, thank you. Well, that ties in too to being kind to one another. And that's something that Karen shared with our team a while back. She said, and it's, like I'm guilty of it. Like I'd go into the office and sit at my desk. Like I was always kind, but I wouldn't say like, oh, good morning, Ian. Good morning, Jordan. Good morning, Bill. Like go to everyone's office. I think she would always say, or Karen said, treat your teammates as you would treat like anyone else. Because when you're working so closely with one another, it's easy to say, oh, yeah, okay. Like you take that, I don't know, the magic that you would give that guest that walks in the door, right? And I think that also extends to your personal life as well. And with Ian, I don't know if you all know, but Ian is my husband. Well, he is my husband. And it's easy, like, when you get in the group to forget treating even the people that are closest to you, your family, your closest friends, your parents, with that same respect. And I think just being really kind, because I think even if there is a natural disaster outside of your front door, or there's a flood, or there's something going on in your community, everyone needs kindness. And sorry.
So well
said. Those are three awesome things that you're obviously super passionate about and really, really great. But we're going to take a quick break here and we'll come right back and dive right back into it.
It's already time for a break.
I know.
Okay.
Welcome to your beautiful new apartment home here at Gables Point 14. As you can see, we're featuring this beautiful one-bedroom den.
Welcome to the Get Focused podcast, a show with stimulating conversation about optimizing our human potential for those who think outside of the box. You'll hear thought-provoking conversation designed to help you blow past your obstacles and create strength and motivation in everything you do. Now, it's time to start thinking outside of the box. It's time to get focused.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
April, I have to tell you, I love your passion. You know that. I tell you that every day. And I know you have way more than 3 things that you would tell people to look out for. And since we don't have a whole series for you to talk about right now, let's pop to another question. Just again, with your experience and having been able to see so many different management companies and properties around the country over 12 years, leadership is huge and leadership is important. What have you seen within some of the best management companies for quality leadership practices?
I think, when I hear this question right now, I'm thinking of so many wonderful managers that I've had the opportunity to work with. And really, I think that what they all have in common, one of the qualities is strong communication. I had this community manager in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and it was life-changing. It was my first year in the industry, and she was on it. Every morning, this community had over 1,100 apartments. And I just have to say, it was Wanda, had over 1,100 apartments. And every morning, Wanda would get there at 7:30. I would get there at 7:30 too. Not always. She would beat me. Wanda would beat me. She'd get there at 7:30, and she would have a team meeting every morning with the service team, leasing team, and she would go through like, okay, here are our move-ins, here's our marketing focus, this is what's going on today, these are things to, be prepared of regarding resident requests, whatever it was. And then we would go through like, hey, these are our mini models. We had our hot sheet. And then Wanda knew what was going on with the community. Like she knew every aspect. And I think the communication, ties in with the meetings, and we all were included, and they weren't long meetings. It was like 5 or 10 minutes max. So they were efficient. And then also she would walk the apartments herself. Like she would walk them. So she knew what they looked like. She knew what needed to be communicated to the service team. And I wanted to use, she comes to mind because I think it's such a strong example of great leadership. We all knew our role. We knew the expectations. She laid out the expectations for us. And so we knew how to achieve them, and again, a communication. We had our goal board in that back room, and we had a flower vase with if we needed 30 leases that week, which we did, it was a big community, we would take a flower out, and communicate. The communication was so big and so important. And I think it's important in any industry, especially ours. We are helping people find new homes. There's so many operating parts that are going on within the community that you can't see, that if everyone's on the same page, the community is going to run efficiently, right? And people will be happy. And with that also ties in appreciation. I think, it's easy. It's like, okay, here's our goal. We need to get 20 leases, but we always want more. We hit 20. Now we need to get 30 and we need to get 40. And that's what's great about our industry. The possibilities are endless. But I think it's really just going back to the kindness to each other, to your teammates, and appreciating each other, right? And with leadership, it starts at the top. So if you have a kind company, a kind culture, which you can still give feedback, but you don't have to be harsh with it. And your team will understand that, right? Feedback is good because it helps you grow and it challenges you. But I really think it starts with the company culture and appreciation. And we've had some clients that have sent handwritten cards to their team members and their families saying, thank you so much. We really appreciate all of Kenny's hard work. Kenny's one of our power associates, and we always want to say, oh, thank you to your family for, being there for you and the support, because that's what makes us thrive and want to perform Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, no, you're good. I was just going to point out that one thing I think that you seem to bring into all of this is just the connection that everyone has, both in that communication and creating that connection between, like you talked about Wanda and like how her connection to what's going on that on-site team and the connection of the on-site team to the prospects and everyone, and knows and really knows what it's like to be on the other side. And I think that's something that's kind of resonated of what you're saying about leadership and on all these different pieces of just that kindness and connection and really put yourself in the feet of the person on the other side. So,
and
go ahead. I was going to say, I want to keep running through a couple of other questions here. So I wanted to jump right into the next one. If you're good with it here, is just saying, something that I'm more familiar with how your response is going to be, but curious for how you can answer this for everyone else is when somebody tells you no, what's your advice out there, and how do you how do you handle that? I'm curious because I think you have had a lot of experience in this and have some really good advice here.
Oh, I've been told to no a lot over the years, and I think
not by me.
Yeah,
of course not.
I think when we host, we do a lot of marketing. Even when we launch a community, we go out with our associates and we'll market with team members. And I think when someone says no, what comes to mind is really I always have a backup plan in general. And I learned it early on. Like, okay, there's two different ways this scenario could go, right? They could say no. And then what's my solution for that? Like, what is the alternative? And I think that is what has helped me a lot. And it's okay if people say no. Like, they're going to say no. I mean, we've had marketing contacts in the past say, no, we're not going to do that. But really, a lot of the times they don't really understand like what you're asking, right? So and even if they do understand, and they say, no, we're not doing this, then it's come up with something else. And that's okay, I think. And I think there's always a solution for every no. And that's my.
Yeah. You always have a plan B, right?
Yeah. Have a plan B. Definitely. Well, and I think approach it again. I'm sorry. I was just thinking about this too. Like I've heard no. And then you ask again in a different approach and you just tweak a couple of things. And then the answer is yes. Make it easy for them to say yes to start off with. And if they don't, then you tweak it. But that doesn't mean that you just shut it down. Right. Like I've heard, oh, well, forget it then. Like, I'm never going to do that. And it's like, no, like you can't give up.
Yes.
Don't give up.
Exactly. Well, and also being able to piggyback with each other. We are already to another break, April. So we're going to take another break. But when we come back, I want to ask you, and you can think about it as we go into break. You always ask everybody if they had a magic wand, what would they do? And so we want to throw that back at you. If you had a magic wand, what would you do for the industry? And we will touch on that when we get back from break.
Introducing Remote Lock Universal Access Control. Remote Lock lets you manage any lock from smart locks to hardwired access control systems, securing every door from the main entrance to the rooftop patio. And you get to choose from the best top-of-the-line smart locks out there, from brands like Yale, Schlage, Kwikset, August, Mercury, and many more. Now you can configure and add access at the push of a button and set up customized schedules for each and every user, all within a matter of minutes. It even works with property management and booking software like Airbnb, Guesty, Entrata, RealPage, and more. With Remote Lock, you'll finally have a future-proof solution that controls all your properties around the world from a single, easy-to-use platform. Let Remote Lock be the last access control partner you'll ever need.
Hey, welcome back. Okay, April. I wish I had a magic wand so I could have, had a prop for that question. But what's your magic wand wish for the industry?
So I feel like I'm just thinking back to trainings over the years, and I feel like my number one wish would be for every leasing professional out there, every Sparkle team member, every service team member, groundskeeper, technician. And if you don't already feel this way, I just want everyone to understand how important their role is and their position and the difference that they're making in lives daily. Because I've heard so many times, I've heard people say, professionals say, oh, I'm just a leasing consultant. You can talk to my manager. And it amazes me. It makes me sad at the same time, because we all know that everyone has a role in our industry and has a part. And together as a team, we can make an amazing, we change, we do change the world. And that's how I feel. And I feel like we have such an opportunity to touch so many lives. These are homes of, our residents, and they're looking for homes, and they're going through so many stressful situations. And we have the opportunity to be able to help guide them and take care of them. And for our leasing professionals out there, you all make such a huge difference. You do it all. You wear many hats. You take care of the marketing, helping people find a new home. Sometimes we had a team member last week and the community manager cleaning the home for a move-in. And we've all been there and we've done that, and I think maintenance team members are called in after hours and work on weekends, and they're balancing, we all are balancing our personal and professional lives. And I think just remembering how valuable you are and how valuable your role is in the industry. And then to add on to that, we have the opportunity to touch so many lives daily. One apartment community, let's say 100 apartments, has 100 to 150 residents living there. And so it gives us the opportunity to give back to our community as well, whether it's through having a food drive. And so many communities are giving back. I just think it's a really good reminder to be able to help the community as a whole. And you add so much value. We add so much value. And, it starts at the top. Like we talked about this. During our break, I texted my aunt, who's my mom, and I said, do you have any feedback for me? Like, I still ask for feedback because I think it's really important. And I think that's what makes me better as a professional and personally too. And she said, you look up at the camera more. But one thing is, when we're talking about leadership, good leaders lead by example, and I think again, it goes back with your company culture and remembering that, and kindness as a whole. And one of my favorite quotes is by Maya Angelou, and it's, people will forget what you said. They may forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I think that would be one of my wish list items for our industry, to think about that. And it's not just for the person that walks in the door and you're so busy, you have a leak you're dealing with, you have 5 move-ins, you have leasing goals, but you haven't gotten there yet. Like, there's so much going on. 5 cars were stolen last week. But every person deserves to have that experience and it's just, okay, great. Let me put this aside and let me focus on you. And one other wish list item, is taking a genuine interest in every single person that you meet, because I really believe if you take a genuine interest in every person that you meet and you genuinely want to help them, you're going to be successful. And we share that with all of our team members as well in their training. And I think that's in any industry in life.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to squeeze in just a couple more questions here. I know we're coming up close to being on time, but really curious from your standpoint, April, what changes or what do you see coming up in the industry in the next 5 to 10 years? What's going to change? What's going to stay the same? Anything around those points?
I think throughout this pandemic, I know that we all really don't want to talk about it anymore. It's like, okay, we've moved on. The sun is out. It's great. But the positive from it, I think it's forced a lot of industries to think outside of the box and to get creative and to not keep doing the same thing that you've been doing over and over, that we've been doing over and over, just because it works. But it's not pushing us, and I think with this last year, personally, I've seen so many amazing changes at, really communities all across the country. And I know other guests have talked about this. I mean, you go back to virtual tours and virtual leasing. And I just have to give a shout out. We had one team member that had 37 move-ins in a month during the pandemic. And it was through virtual tours. And we all, a lot of team members are already doing it, but now it's part of our culture, right? We're having virtual tours. People are moving here from out of state. I think location it matters, and especially for Denver. I mean, Colorado is such a desirable state that people are moving here from all over the country daily. And I think that, but I really don't think location matters as far as tying into jobs too, because we could remote positions are there are more remote positions, and companies have restructured their organization to where really their team members can work from anywhere, so they could live anywhere that they want. I was going to throw out examples, but I think that, just really, I think, and if we continue to push ourselves out of our comfort zone as an industry, we will continue to grow and just become even better. And it's looking at, I think, a lot of new developments, especially. We've heard a lot of residents say they want outdoor space, like they want to have more outdoor space, and not just, it's nice if a community has the rooftop, but if they have their own private balcony, and then having need for a 1-bedroom or a studio room for an office. So that we've seen that need increase as well. And then for, really looking at your home as your sanctuary. For years, we heard people say, oh, I'm not home anyway, so it's just a landing pad. It reminded me of when you traveled to Vegas when you were younger and you'd say, oh, we'll sleep anywhere because we're not going to be in the hotel room. But now you see that. And also, and this is something before, I mean, you have two types of individuals. You have the type that maybe loves social events, loves networking. And then you have the other person that maybe it would really love more of a virtual cooking class or wine tasting. I think that is still going to continue and carry through. And then I think overall, making sure I feel like my home is clean. And we've always felt that way, whether you're a D+ community or an A+, whatever it is, you can control cleanliness. So making sure that your residents feel comfortable and safe in regard of their home is clean.
Yep.
I think that's also, and then again with technology, but I think the one piece that won't change is people. It's our team members that are helping people find homes, whether it's virtually, who's conducting the video, right?
Yep.
Even for tours that are in, we say, here's the keys, here's the map, go take your tour, self-touring. You still have the team member to help, get that appointment and talk about the community ahead of time and then at the end. So the people aspect is not going to change. And we wouldn't exist if we didn't have our industry, if we didn't have residents who are renting homes.
Yep. April, your passion is, again, I said it before you were on, in the middle of this, and it just shines through, and there's so much for you to share. And I feel like we need to have a part 2. We want to ask our walk-off home run question with you though, before it drops. And that is, what advice would you give somebody new to the industry?
Okay. So I think it's like anything that you do in life, you get out of it what you give. And I think that's, again, with anything you do. But I would say, what an amazing industry to be in. There's so much growth. You get to do so much. There's so much opportunity. If you love the industry, stay in it because you are making a difference and changing lives daily. I think invest in yourself, like make sure you know what is going on in the industry, in the world, know your community, know your residents. Oh gosh, there's so much.
Well, I think what you shared is awesome and helpful morsels for everybody to take away. And we are so appreciative. To be able to share your heart and your voice today has been fantastic. And thank you for being on with us, April. Obviously, we both love you to death. So thank you.
You're amazing. Thank you, April.
And next week, we'll be having Daryl Smith with Kettler. So bye till next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.